Okay, here we go. Writer's notes for the first story. Timing and location. The story takes place in Lear's 15th year, towards the beginning of his 16th year. It is roughly 10 years before the events of the sack of the Aquilonian stronghold of Venarium by the Cimmerians, which Howard writes about and has Conan being present at. The story takes place near the border of the Pictish wilderness and Cimmeria that one can find on many of the maps that have been created for the Hyborian Age. Howard describes his Picts as not being the historical people that we can research, but as a kind of proto-Native American Indian nation. He describes them as being short and squat, possessing Stone Age technology and primitive social structure. I have chosen to interpret that this is true of the Picts that live near Cimmeria, Vanaheim, and Aquilonia, where it borders the Pictish wilderness, but that the closer one gets to the western coast, the more the Picts change. They become taller, more civilized with complex social structures, and resemble the Native American confederations, such as the Iroquois Confederacy, of the real world. Lear's name is pronounced Lear. It rhymes with sneer, leer, or mere. A dun is a kind of Celtic hill fort. I have borrowed the term for what the Cimmerians will call their major settlements. There's a Wikipedia article for a dun that can be found in the PDF notes. Caer is a Welsh word that denotes a stronghold. I have borrowed it for certain ancient fortresses. The three-part division of Cimmerian Cerridosal classes comes from the descriptions of Roman commentators on the Celtic/Gallic society. Brehon is an Irish word I am using for the judges. Fili, the Irish Gaelic word for a bard, will denote the traveling minstrels and news-bearers. Derwid is a Welsh word that essentially means druid, and I am using it to denote the priestly caste of Cimmerian society. I have elected to use the English chieftain in place of the Gaelic word for the position. This is because a Cimmerian chieftain would not be regarded in the same manner as an ancient Celtic one, and the words for chieftain in Gaelic are very difficult for non-Gaelic speakers to pronounce. Howard makes clear that the Cimmerians have no position that is analogous to a king, ri, in Irish Gaelic, but we're going to see that later in my stories. Oyam is a Celtic mnemonic and alphabetic script. It looks like lines with hash marks above, below, and running through the stem line. Often we have found it engraved on stones. Sain is an Old Scots word that means to bless. It is normally used to denote a religious consecration of a place or a protection from evil. The Pictish names of Hochganuk and Andalup are pure inventions on my part. However, Notahi is an invention that was inspired from a Native American word that means almost a man. The Picts name Lear this due to their attitude against Cimmerians. The medallion of a Derwid, showing a symbol that denotes Crom, is entirely my own invention, and in the PDF I have a diagram of it. The three wives of Crom. The three goddesses Lear meets in a vision during his sacrifice are the Hyborian equivalent of the Morrigan of Irish myth. This triple goddess is held to be the goddess not only of battles but of sovereignty. One goddess represents the sky, another the land, and the last the ocean. She is often depicted in myth as being the consort of the Dagamor, the Irish hero god of the Book of Invasions. In my writings I have chosen to blend the Daga figure and Crom. And the Morrigan is also slightly different from the one of legend. I have chosen to make the gods alien and incomprehensible, to further the sense of them being other, than to speak them as humans and have human motivations like the god of a Greek myth. Woad. Woad is a plant that, when prepared, creates a bluish dye. Woad was historically used by many tribes of the British Isles as a kind of war paint. There is some evidence that there was also a hallucinogenic or euphoric element to the mixture used. Afterlife. In this story, Lear reflects that the afterlife is not what he was told to expect. According to Howard, the Cimmerian afterlife is seen as an endless realm of rolling mist in which there is no joy and the dead eternally wander. Such a grim destination, regardless of character, inspires the Cimmerians to be daring and seek great deeds, that their song may outlive them and be remembered by their tribe. James McConnell. Note, in the PDF and in all the PDFs, I have also placed some rough maps of the battles as I envisioned them.